When it comes to the divisive topic of the Legend of Korra, there are already plenty of videos that pick apart its many faults and successes. There are also excellent explanations as to why it was impossible to live up to its expectations from the start. Instead of rehashing old opinions, I wanted to write an essay that focuses on the engine that really drives the development of both Korra and the world she encompasses, its villains. Society, in the midst of an industrial revolution, puts forth complex villains that bring their own set of moral and philosophical challenges to the table, rejecting the simplistic definitions of bad or evil. They bring with them more nuanced and mature conflicts, layered with their own social, economic, and political issues. Korra's confrontations with her enemies mold and shape not only her abilities as the Avatar, but also the very foundation of her ideological beliefs. In this examination of her adversaries and their principles, I hope to illustrate what we as viewers can learn from them through their encounters with the Avatar.
The spirits have chosen me to usher in a new era of balance. They have granted me a power that will make equality a reality. The power to take a person's bending away permanently.
Korra's first task as Avatar was to eliminate the threat of Amon. As the figurehead of an anti-bending movement, his base was spurred on by the growing pains of a quickly modernizing world. Inequality for them was not defined by the dividing factors of our world, like race, gender, or religion, but instead by those who are born with an innate power and those who are not. Amon offered the means to eradicate that difference. With the advent of modern science, Korra's world discovered new innovations and technologies, diminishing the demand for bending as a staple of daily life. In this age, non-benders began to harbor resentment toward benders that would use their power to gain an upper hand in society. And here we arrive at the root of Amon's cause. Amon sowed dissent by stoking the coals of anger in non-benders frustrated by the status quo. The marginalized masses of society began to rally behind violent cries to remove the bending ability of those that would abuse it. We can see his sentiments reminiscent of communist ideology from scholars like Lenin and Marx. He incites change through motivating the marginalized, less powerful parts of society to rise up against systemic oppression. These issues and beliefs are pervasive in the world around us today, and we can feel the sting of inequality in present-day protests and civil unrest related to issues like class and race.
Now that you've opened the southern portal, your energy is stronger as well.
With both portals open, our tribes will be united again.
The world will be united again.
In Book 2, Korra faces Puna Locke, whose ideologies are rooted in theocracy and environmentalism. Puna Locke's initial focus was to regain balance by reconnecting the spirit and physical worlds, undoing the work of the first Avatar. He argued that their division was harmful and brought the world out of balance. Contextualizing this concept in our reality, we can see how we have failed to take care of the natural world around us. Just as the spirits in Korra suffered from human intervention, we too have caused untold, irreparable damage to our environments and ecosystems. Juxtaposing the two realities, we can derive a message that it's in our best interest to align our goals with what's best for nature. Doing so could allow us to live more harmoniously with our environment and preserve it for future generations. As the season came to a close, Puna Locke ultimately served as a warning against the dangers of religious fundamentalism and rule. This is exemplified in his worship of Vatu, the spirit of darkness and chaos. His faith in Vatu brought the world to the brink of Armageddon, the worst-case scenario of an extremist theocratic system. He became so blinded by his faith that he actively sought the destruction of the very world he originally sought to balance.
When you base your expectations only on what you see, you blind yourself to the possibilities of a new reality.
With Book 3 brings Zaheer, one of the most complex villains in the history of Avatar. As representatives of the Red Lotus, his group's primary agenda was promoting anarchy and the abolishment of corrupt and oppressive governments. Zaheer's argument comes down to the idea that things should exist in their natural form, and that power should be returned to the people, away from oligarchs who may abuse it. He championed anarchist philosophy and demanded the fall of the ruling class. He preached that every individual is responsible for their own lives and actions. His diverse skill set and well-balanced power dynamics made him an interesting, multifaceted villain. While physically dominant, he was also centered and spiritually connected at a level that few others attained. He was well studied and took advantage of his knowledge to further his ideals and abilities. Zaheer constantly challenged Korra's innate moral views and beliefs about the world. He relentlessly attacked the core concept of who and what the Avatar really is, and challenged the notion of a single entity holding so much power and influence. Zaheer defied the role of a traditional villain. While he did fight Korra physically, his more damaging attacks were those on her preconceived notions. His dissenting philosophy of anarchy and breaking convention offers some insight into the failings of our current system. At the same time, he served as a reminder that any ideology taken too far can result in unnecessary violence, destruction, and chaos. I think Zaheer teaches us that we learn through challenging our inherent biases and beliefs, and that it's through those challenges that we may arrive at more thoughtful and balanced ideas about how to move the world forward.
Something you should know about me. I always get what I want.
When the Earth Kingdom fell to its knees without a ruler, it descended into chaos, and from the ashes rose Kuvira. Kuvira is a villain not so different from the dictators and fascist rulers of our own time. She acts under the guise of unity and cooperation between the Earth Kingdom, but is actually driven by her insatiable desire for control and dominance through force. She exhibits a deep understanding of how to control people through manipulation and twisted motivations, not unlike modern-day strategies of manipulating public opinion through social media and propaganda. Kuvira is a prime example of what we as a society should be wary of. Dictators come in many shapes and forms with all manner of justification for their actions. She reminds us that if we become complacent, those in power can take advantage of us to pursue aggressive policy and push their own agenda. Left unchecked, we may succumb to a system founded on violence and hatred. If we accept what we're given without questioning the consequences and actions of our government, it becomes all too easy to slip into a fascist dictatorship without even recognizing it. Examining the villains of Korra, we uncover their many layers of complexity, a sign of the times they belong to. They used their power and platforms in attempts to instill ideologies like communism, theocracy, anarchy, and fascism. The Legend of Korra offers us a distilled view of what it means to be part of a larger, more globalized world and the struggles that come with it. In a more modern age, the world became comprised of larger nations with increasingly blurred borders, much like the very world we inhabit. And so, what do these villains teach us? They teach us that in this ever-expanding and developing world, the complexities and struggles of the people change alongside it. We must be adaptive and responsive to the challenges that we face as part of a quickly evolving, increasingly globalized society. It becomes not a matter of right and wrong or black and white, but instead a matter of what we can do to better understand and institute meaningful change in an attempt to solve the problems of the world around us. The realities of inequality, discrimination, and authoritarian governments require our intervention and action. I think the strength of this show is in how it takes these issues and reflects them back at us through a lens we're more familiar with, the world of the Avatar. By taking some time to examine Korra's villains and their motivations, perhaps we may shine a light on the injustices of our own world and how we might begin to solve them. Hey, thanks so much for watching video essay number 4. Hope you guys enjoyed it and maybe learned something too. If you did and you'd like to see more content like this in the future, please do consider subscribing to support this channel. Doing so will let me explore more movies, games, TV shows, and whatever else happens to catch my interest. In any case, thanks so much for watching, and let me know what you thought in the comments or what you'd like to see in the future. But that's all I have for now, so I'll see you guys in the next one.